In this video, I'm going to talk about creating the opening sentences of your paragraph, and then part 2 will be about integrating quotes, which will be on the next page. So creating your opening sentences, and it could be more than one. In most cases it will be more than one sentence. There's really 4 different things that you should do in your openings for any paragraph about the novel. First is to introduce the novel, meaning introduce the novel title. So we see that here, the circle. Second is introduce the author, so we have some context for who wrote the book by Dave Eggers in the sample. Then you do want to give some basic context for what's going on in terms of, what the novel is about or perspective or things like that. So in this sample paragraph, we get a sense of, okay, we're going to be talking about, at least we're starting with the beginning of it, and we know that the perspective we're getting in the novel is the protagonist's first day of work at the company, and we also know that the company name is the same as the name of the novel. So that provides us some context. And this one, the second sentence here tells us the perspective that we're getting. So we're getting the perspective of May, who is the protagonist in the story. So that gives us some context of just getting us as readers set up for what we're going to be talking about in the paragraph. So that's an important aspect of it. Another quick thing to note here is the punctuation or the formatting of the word "the circle." We talked about this in class, and there's a handout in Blackboard as well, but we noticed that the title, when we're talking about the title of the book, it's in italics, and then when we're talking about the company, it is not in italics, and the T in "the" is not capitalized unless it's the beginning of a sentence, obviously. So that gives us a sense of what to look for these first 3 things. Now what we want to make sure we have in these opening sentences is a clear articulation of your claim, what the purpose of the paragraph is, what the central argument is. So in the sample, this shows up here. On the surface, the tech company seems like a great place to work, but there are some worrisome elements. So from that, I get it. As a reader, I know what the argument is going to be about. I know exactly where it's going, what we're going to argue here. I should note here, which something that you're probably already noticing, is that this topic sentence or claim is one of those that does mention sort of a opposing viewpoint or the alternate view within it, which allows the writer to argue or point out some things on both sides while still maintaining a clear argument for the other side. Maintaining a clear argument for a particular position. So in this one, the clear position is there are some worrisome elements. That's the central idea, that this paragraph is saying that, yes, there are some really good things about it. It seems like a great place, but the writer of the paragraph believes that the worrisome elements seem to be overshadowing that. So it allows you to do both things. For your paragraphs, you do not need to do that. You can stick with just one clear side, that it's a great place or it's not a great place. To avoid some confusion, that sometimes is a little bit easier, but it does limit some of the things you can do with that. So that's the basic idea of what we're looking for in terms of the first couple sentences, some things that just really need to be there to set those things up. Okay, so the second part of this now is the integrating quotes and evidence part. So there's a few basic principles we want to look at here. The first thing is I do want you to try to integrate language from the text into your own sentence wherever possible. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, let's look at some examples in this paragraph. So if we look at the sentence, "To May it seemed like heaven," the word heaven, the emphasis is being put that this is a direct quote from the text, and that is integrated into the sentence itself. Another example would be the following sentence, where it says, "For those who want to stay fit, the company offers CrossFits, Pilates, massages, and spinning, in addition to a volleyball court and a pool." So what you're seeing here again is the writer integrating some of the language into his or her own sentence, which allows for you to really take control of your own writing and not rely on longer quotes that sometimes get in the way of the style of your paragraph and sometimes get in the way of your interpretation of certain things. So again, it's a good idea if you can do it to try to do some quotes like that. If you have to include a whole sentence, and you can do that as well. But especially for the type of writing we're doing right now, smaller, shorter quotes are going to be better for our purposes. Now the next two things on this list, putting quotes around borrowed language and including page numbers in a parenthetical citation, are things you should get used to as a writer, especially the first one. So you see that in both the samples I just mentioned. The word heaven, we know, is taken directly from the text because it has the quotes around it, and then we have the page number right after it in a parenthetical citation. We're seeing the same thing for the next sample, where we have the terms CrossFit, Pilates, massages, and spinning. Those terms in that order are taken directly from the text, and that is indicated by the quotation marks. In this case, the parenthetical citation is at the end of the sentence. So these words take place on page 5. Now what you also see here is that there's a volleyball court and a pool. Those are actually paraphrases. So the writer didn't need to put those in quotes because the language is fairly similar to anything else, and they're not occurring, these words are not occurring directly in that order in the text. But you still need to include a parenthetical citation, which is the 1. So the volleyball court and the pool are mentioned on page 1, and the CrossFit, Pilates, massages, and spinning are on page 5. And that's how that